Okay, so what we need to do now is to put in the windows. Now, in class, we discussed that the buildings that we're constructing in ArchiCAD, the neighbouring buildings that is, don't need to be particularly detailed. The aim of constructing the neighbouring buildings is to get a volume or a mass so that we have information about the bulk of the buildings on either side of our project to address things such as casting of shadows and positioning of windows in relation to how our building may affect, for example, the amount of light that enters the windows of the neighbouring buildings. In cases where your development that you intend to submit to council blocks light to the windows of an adjacent building, you could be required to revise your design, particularly if you block the sunlight penetrating a window that is to a living area for more than 2 hours a day. Okay, so what we now should do then is put in our windows so that we can understand what the shadow study information is going to give us. When putting in the windows though, because we want to be consistent with a very simple massing model, I'm not going to suggest that we put in true windows, that is, windows that have casing and perhaps mullions and glass panes. What I'm suggesting that you use for the windows is what's called a niche window. So a niche window is found in the Windows toolbox. And if you go into folder view and then drop down the menu item to find library parts, if you type in the word niche and then press the find button, you should find the niche window that I'm referring to. So when we're looking at windows, any windows in your ArchiCAD software, the window is named with a W in front and then the name of the window, and then there will be a number at the end of each window's name in the ArchiCAD standard library, which indicates what version of ArchiCAD this window belongs to. In this case, this niche window, because we are using ArchiCAD version 15, this is a W niche 15 window. The reason that I'm pointing this out is because if you happen to be using an older version of ArchiCAD, say for example you started a project in version 14 and that project for one reason or another dragged on and on and on and on, and 12 months went by, and after 12 months typically an office will upgrade to the next version of ArchiCAD, which is released every 12 months. That means that a project that you started in ArchiCAD 14 that has since been rolled over to ArchiCAD 15, in ArchiCAD 15, the windows that will be in that project will still be W niche 14 windows. And that means that if you haven't consolidated the libraries by going to the library manager under File, I'm just going to press OK, under File, Libraries and Objects, Library Manager, and consolidate the libraries so that you have what's called a migration library, you won't see any of your windows in your project after you've upgraded to version 15. Okay, what you will see in place of those windows is either an empty space in the 3D model or black dots in your plan view where the window once was. And until such time that you consolidate the libraries by coming to File, Libraries and Objects, Library Manager, and then opening up this window, you won't be able to see any prior loaded ArchiCAD version windows. Okay, so I'm just pointing that out to you. This is not something that is necessarily relevant for you right now, because we haven't been using different versions of ArchiCAD. We've just been using version 15. But it's important to point it out to you so that there isn't this confusion about what happens when you can't see the windows in your particular file. If you're in an office and that happens to you, and you know straight away that the reason for those black dots is because the version hasn't been, the ArchiCAD libraries haven't been consolidated for the different versions, then that's a really great thing, because if the other stuff don't know, then you're great. So let's talk now. I'm just going to cancel out here. Let's talk now about actually putting in those windows, okay? And just to keep the file size down, and I know you might want a break from my voice, I'll do that in the next video and label this video as a video just to discuss the consolidation of the library manager for ArchiCAD version 14 versus ArchiCAD version 15 libraries.